fucking with me. Everybody's saying, are you ready? Are you ready? We are ready. We do not have any shout-outs this weekend, but
we are shouting out two people.
Two people. Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey. Because.
And why? Because in all honesty, and this is at least how I feel about it, this is their opportunity to put women's MMA on the map. This is the second coming of Carano versus Cyborg. This is their shot. This is Dana White has more control over Strikeforce now. He's somewhat said he's backing women's MMA, and this is it. They're the headlining fight, and this is what we're getting ready to break down for you.
Yes. These guys are going to be squaring off
I think they're
this
ladies.
Saturday, March.
These ladies.
Yeah, these gals. I know. I'm so used to saying men. But these gals are going to be squaring off this Saturday, March the 3rd.
In Columbus, Ohio, at the Arnold Sports Festival, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, there's so many things going on in Columbus this upcoming weekend. It's just ridiculous. But
I think this has a chance to be the show stealer, if you will.
It really will, because it's for the Bantamweight Championship. I mean, both these girls have started getting really verbal. And you know what? They fucking needed it. They needed to start talking. They needed to get some attention on this sport.
And for you who haven't followed it, Ronda Rousey has been you could say her and I would probably have a lot in common.
Yeah, you guys
we both run our mouths. We both are very hearts on our sleeve, tell you exactly how we feel. And you don't like it, don't watch.
Yeah, fuck it.
She said GSP's boring. She said Cyborg's basically part Mr. Ed with the steroids thing and cheaters. And I mean, she just lets it all hang out. So if you're going to interview this woman, you are going to get a soundbite or three.
Yeah, and you know what? I find that entertaining. I like that, and I think the mainstream public gets it sparks an interest in it. It makes you want to see two fighters square off. And you see it with Chael Sonnen and
it's good to see people finally be honest.
Yeah, and show some emotion too.
Ask Brady Quinn about being honest. I have no love for people who throw out how they really feel and then run out there to apologize. And we're not going to get that. Ronda Rousey's like, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to be doing me. Yeah. And that's it. And you got to you got to respect that. Now, Miesha Tate, who we'll start out talking about on the other hand, has worked her way up in women's MMA. She's 12-2. She was training at Team Alpha Male. Was? Well, why is she not?
She had apparently, and this is a falling out because
the head of Team Alpha Male got a little sensitive.
Master Thong?
No.
I don't know if it's Uriah Faber.
Yes.
Got a little sensitive because obviously she showed some support with Dominic Cruz. Hey, me should go over and trade with Lloyd Irvin because he was local. He is fucking nasty. Yeah. And so she will no longer be working with Master Thong, or is it Tong?
And now
it's Thong.
Right.
It's funny that it's Thong.
Like I said to Kevin, I'm sure in his country it's pronounced Tong, and they probably don't pronounce the H. But here, this right here, it's Thong, dude.
It's Thong. Right.
I just hope it's golden like the one Giambi wore.
Yeah. Now, background on Miesha Tate. If you guys don't know anything about Miesha Tate comes from a wrestling background. In high school, she actually wrestled on the boys wrestling team. She was fucking nasty. In 2005, she won the women's state championship, and then she went on to win the world team trials in the 158-pound division.
That's a big girl.
Yeah. Both of them are pretty, can get up there and weight. Not that they're big, just, when you have that kind of muscular stature, you are heavy.
So Bantamweight, what's it, 130 something and some change here?
35. Yeah, so they're both going to be sucking weight. She has, since then, she has one loss. I mean, she has two losses, but she has one time she was knocked out. And that's when she fought Caitlin Young. Now, to give you a little background on Caitlin Young stands about 5'9", is a Muay Thai fighter. She's probably got a little better than a 500 record, but everybody she has beat, she's knocked them out. And she fought when I say young Miesha Tate that was inexperienced at the time. So she has come a long ways, Miesha Tate, in her striking ability. And that is one thing I think she is going to bring to this match that Ronda Rousey will not. She is going to be the superior striker.
Well, let me tell you right now, Ronda Rousey is bringing one thing to this, and it is a mouth. And and just speaking from experience, you better be ready to back that up. Because if you've been running off at the mouth, right, for the lack of a better term, and I'm okay with that, but you better be able to back it up.
Right.
I mean, in the past, I've been hard on Chael Sonnen, but you know what? He ran off at the mouth. He backed it up.
Right.
I'm really sincerely hoping not only can you back it up, but to me, the hardest challenge for Ronda Rousey is going to be making 135 pounds.
Right. Well, she's going to have to make the weight. I mean, obviously, Miesha Tate has been fighting at this weight, so she's used to it. Rousey's got to make the weight. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of history with this shit. And one of the things was Sarah Kaufman. She was pissed off. A lot of people that follow women's MMA was pissed off because they felt like Ronda Rousey leapfrogged Sarah Kaufman to get this title shot. Now, I'm going to break it down for you guys because at the end of the day, it's a fucking business.
Yeah, and it's about money and putting asses in seats.
It is definitely about that.
And we see that all the time in the UFC. Let's face it, Anthony Pettis probably doesn't deserve a title shot, but I would not be surprised if he fights Ben Henderson next.
You could definitely see that because it's put. Now, if you think about it, everyone, Miesha Tate suffered a loss already in her career to Sarah Kaufman. Okay, it was via decision. It was a while back. That is a good fight, but it could be a good fight. But let's look at the girls that were at the top of this 135-pound division. The shit was like paper, scissors, rock. It was. You had Marlos Kunin, right, who basically beat Kaufman, but Kaufman beat Tate, but Tate beat Kunin. You see what I'm saying? So it was like they were canceling each other out. So what do you do to fucking mix it up and change the equation? Bring in Ronda Rousey.
See, I don't.
What would you do?
4-women tournament.
It could be a great tournament.
Have a round robin. Everyone has to fight everyone.
Right.
And then whoever has the best record at the end fights each other.
Right. I mean, and that could have been a good way to do it. I mean, I don't know how they would have stretched the tournament out. The problem is that when you get these tournaments, people get hurt. We saw that.
That's only 4 people. They're tough.
Yeah.
They're little. They're Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
They can do it.
You could see it. I mean, it could happen. But to me, with what you had in the existing format, I think bringing Ronda Rousey in,
it's going to shake up the division.
It's going to shape it up. And why I say that's because, first of all, Ronda Rousey, people are like, oh, she's she hasn't proven herself. You're right. She hasn't proven herself.
Let's get to the breakdown. We've got enough background. You guys can get the background if you need that, but you're not here for the background. You're here for our opinions on how this fight's going to go down.
That's what I was getting at. She has fought 4 professional MMA fights.
And won all 4 of them, handedly.
Within a minute. And then, right. And that's the thing. She's won 4 fights like that. The 3 MMA fights, amateur MMA fights she had before that. So 7 fights, like the way I clap.
I'm surprised the lights didn't go on and off.
Yeah, but it's fast. So that's one of the reasons that's impressive. I mean, it's impressive. We saw the last time people started finishing people quickly. Who was it? It was Christine Cyborg. What happened?
She got busted for steroids.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Anyway, but you saw how quick she moved up into the limelight. So what were you getting at? You were getting at the fact.
Let's get at the breakdown.
Okay, let's break it down.
I mean, we have the background. Obviously, Tate is the more experienced fighter, and we'll get to that. And Ronda Rousey is more experienced at running her mouth.
Right, okay. Well, first of all, if you look at striking, okay, if you're going to talk about striking, you're going to give the nod to Miesha Tate. I mean, she's definitely the better striker. They both come from, ground game backgrounds and stuff like this, but over the last few years, Miesha Tate has proven that she has definitely, and Ronda Rousey's basically amateurish when it comes to striking. This is going to be her first time getting acclimated with striking and standing and using knees and elbows and using her hands, whereas Miesha Tate has a little bit more experience in this. So you got to give her the striking.
Now, for the ground, I think it's pretty much Ronda Rousey's.
It is. And even though Miesha Tate comes from a wrestling background, she was in Team Alpha Male, which is a wrestling camp. I mean, it doesn't matter. Ronda Rousey, I mean, you look at her, she is a judo medalist. She got, bronze medal in the Beijing Games.
She hit her with a judo chop.
But and she got a silver medal in Rio de Janeiro in the middleweights. I mean, she is a proven judo. She's an Olympic judo champion.
Would you go so far as to call her a judo expert?
She's a judo expert, and she is a submission expert because obviously she's doing in less than a minute everybody she faces. So when you talk about ground games, we're going to give the nod to Ronda Rousey.
Now, with experience, and obviously this is just MMA experience. We're not talking about overall fight experience.
In the cage.
Right. So, because to me, if we were going overall fighting experience, I'd say this is probably a push. But if we're just basing this off the MMA, Tate's got to get the nod for experience inside of a cage.
She does have she gets a nod. We're going to have to give her the nod for experience inside the cage because she's been doing this longer.
Right. I say it's very slight, but
yeah, it's very slight, but you got to give it a nod. The next thing we'd have to talk about is just both these women's overall strength and stature, and they both have competed in the 50s, and they're both making their way down to 135. But I'm gonna go with Rousey on this. I think she's just the way she flips those girls. She's aggressive. She's fast. I think she's just a stronger woman. She's wider, broader, and she's got the bigger.
And again, for me, this would probably be, unless I could see who Ronda Rousey's training with, I think Miesha Tate's got again, for me, the strength category would probably be a push. And the only reason I would give it a push is because Miesha Tate's been training with men.
Right.
And that's different. It's different to go up against even a man at 150 pounds, and you're 150 pounds. He's going to be stronger than you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if she's constantly wrestling and constantly working with those guys, but she's no longer anymore.
But Rousey's trained. I think they both train with men.
Okay.
I mean, at this level, they are all going to be training with men.
For me, I'm giving experience and strength a push.
Right. You're going to give a push. I'm gonna probably nod and say it's Rousey just because of their size. Stamina, chin. We'll call this the stamina/chin category.
I'm going to go with Tate just because she's been at this weight more and experienced more to do with this. And if this is Rousey's first cut, the 135,
in a while,
I don't know if her stamina's going to be there. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it is going to be hard. I agree with you, man, because, when you cut weight, you suck weight, you tend to fade quick if you're really struggling to make that weight. Another thing in this category is chin. I mean, Miesha Tate obviously has a tested chin. I mean, was she KO'd one time? Yes, she was. But since then, she hasn't been. No one has ever tested Rousey's chin. It never has gotten to that point. So you can't really say it's her chin. You can't determine what kind of chin she has because it's never been tested.
I'm going with Tate.
Let's go with Tate. Just straight up courage and not giving a fuck.
Push.
To me,
because look, I am one to talk shit about fighters, but let's face it, and like Kevin said in our last video, if you've made it to this level of any sport,
you
got a big set of balls.
Yeah.
You just do. You don't, especially in a fight in a sport like this where you get hit in the face.
Right.
Like everyone comes in with a game plan, and you can think, I'm going to do this. When you get stuck in the mouth, all bets are off. Fight or flight.
Yeah.
Either you're going to stay in there or you're bouncing. And if you're bouncing, you don't make it to this level.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, I think both other girls have a tremendous amount of courage. You're going to hear certain things from one, I'm certain from the other one and stuff. At the end of the day, they both are fucking phenomenal athletes, and they both have a lot of courage. Now, the last category, surprisingly, is Vegas.
Yes.
Now, this is Vegas odds, what they have. When this fight first got announced, it was pretty much a push in Vegas. And since then, Ronda Rousey, and maybe it's from the way she's talking and she's showing a lot of confidence and everything, she has become not only a favorite, but she's starting to become a heavy favorite, and a lot of people who are analyzing this fight and breaking this fight down seem to think that Ronda Rousey's going to win. They just think, and this is where I'm going to say, George, what do you think is going to happen with this fight? Honestly,
I'm
straight up.
I'm going to tell you what I think, and then I'm going to tell you what I think would be best for the sport.
Right.
What I think is going to happen is I think Ronda Rousey is going to dispatch Miesha Tate within the first 5 minutes of this match. I just do. I think she's a bigger, more physical, more confident, arrogant, cocky, and I'm saying that's a good thing. To me,
it's not in a bad way.
No.
Right.
To me, if I was a fighter, I would. To me, there has to be some part in your mind as a fighter is I'm the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Right.
No matter if you're a guy or a girl or I just don't. But now, with that said, what do I think this sport needs? I think this sport needs a phenomenal, whether it's on the feet. It needs
something like a fucking Frankie Edgar Gray Maynard type fight. It really does.
It needs 15 minutes of just pure entertainment for people to get more interest. Damn, did you see what those women did? And they need this.
Yeah.
They need this if they want their side of the sport to continue on and get the press that they deserve.
Yeah.
They deserve as much press as any other two men who would step in and take the main event.
You're absolutely right. And it's funny because I see it probably playing out the way that you described it as well. That's what I see. Now, in a perfect world, it could, if this fight could go the distance and both of these girls could be in a little war inside that ring, and maybe one of them edges it out, like maybe Miesha Tate edges it, then now all of a sudden you've got all these possible matchups. And that is what the sport needs.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't need anybody. I mean, I hate to say it, when Cyborg was dominating everybody, there was nobody to face her. So I mean, the more people you get, the more these athletes, female athletes, get into this sport pool, I think there's a huge market for it. I think that what these girls are doing, they're coming out there, they're talking and stuff like this, their skill sets are up here. I'm not going to sit there and candy coat it. Their looks they're both attractive women. It's good for the sport to a degree. I'm going to tell you why. People can sit there and go, oh, that's fucked up. I don't care what anybody fucking says. If you've got two girls and they both have skill sets here, okay, two set of girls, and you have another set of girls that both have skill sets here, equal skill sets.
And the looks are the difference. They're going to go with the better looking.
They're going to go with the better. If you got girls that look like they got hit in the face with a bag of nickels, that's not selling as many tickets. You know what I'm saying? It's just not selling as many tickets. When you got two girls that are attractive, that is more acceptable by the mainstream public. There are other fights on this card.
I'm sorry. I had a comment about Jello, but I'm gonna leave it out.
Okay. Yeah. There are other fights on this card, actually.
But Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey are the main event.
They are.
So this is their moment to shine. This is their chance to put it all on the line. And like Kevin said, I hope it comes down to Miesha Tate gets the first, Ronda Rousey gets the second, third round. These girls pin their ears back and go after it in the third round.
Okay. Before we move on to the other fights on this card, if there was to come an outcome, okay, obviously we both have said we think the fight needs to go to distance and it to be a very good fight. Who do you think is better for the sport if they win?
Ronda Rousey.
You think if
because her mouth is going to sell fights. She's going to be the female Chael Sonnen. Right. She's going to be the fighter that if women's MMA takes off, people are going to tune in to watch her win, or they're going to tune in to watch her lose.
Now, let's say for example, she gets submission, gets out. It's a really squirrely fight. It's very even. It is a very even fight, and to the point where everybody's like, it goes split decision in favor of Miesha Tate. That could be the best outcome. Suppose it went like that.
I don't think anyone wants to see.
Look at George and I just sitting here making hypothetical situations.
I mean,
like fucking retarded as shit. But
we'll see.
Yeah,
we're gonna find out in less than a week.
Whatever the case is, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, we are in both of you guys' corner because we want to see an entertaining fight. And
I think we will. I think they have the entertainment on
lockdown, and we want to just see what they can do to push this sport.
Now, let's talk about all the gentlemen or men who will be fighting before you on this lovely card.
First fight we're going to talk about is KJ Noons versus Josh Thompson.
Sure that's at the end you want to start at?
You know what? Got a good point. Let's start at the bottom side, the first events. And actually,
we know exactly what we're getting here.
Right. Right. I mean, well, and another thing that has to be said really quick is Sarah Kaufman is also on the undercard.
Yeah, she's on the undercard, and so is Ryan Couture.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are two big names in the sport. They're on the undercard. They're not on the main card. That's why we didn't address it. But
I think if Couture wins his fight, the next time he'll be fighting on TV.
On the main card, right. Sarah Kaufman, I think, is a heavy favorite against this girl she's fighting. She needs to win this fight to stay in the mix, which I'm sure she'll do. Scott Smith is going to fight this guy, Lumumba Sayers. Do you know him?
I know Scott Smith is going to come out and try to knock this dude out with a right hand.
Right.
He's going to be wearing light blue trunks, and he's going to come across the ring, and he's going to that's what's going to happen.
We couldn't find a lot of information. That's not discrediting this guy Sayers, but
is that
usually
Gail's child.
I don't know if he was if he was a black man or a white man. He'd have to be a brother if he's Gail's.
Look at that first name. Yeah. Look at that first name.
Lumumba. Yeah, he's probably a brother. He's probably got a little bit of this going on. We would have to believe, because we don't have a lot on these guys, that they're probably we have a lot on Scott Smith. We know who he is, but we don't have a lot on Sayers, that he is probably a slugger.
I got 27 cents on Scott Smith in the first round.
Pulling it off immediately or pulling it off in some miraculous comeback and hitting them and knocking them out in the last second.
If Scott Smith is knocking this cat out or getting knocked out, that's what's going to happen.
Okay. I probably would have to agree with George. Now,
Jacare Souza.
Jacare is going to be fighting Bristol Marunde. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to go with Jacare because Jacare
has a record in a wiki page.
Yes. And George laughed at me when I said this. But not only was he looking impressive until he met Luke Rockhold, who looked even more impressive. I mean, Luke Rockhold just looked very good.
He's a monster.
But Jacare was going through everyone prior to that fight. And this guy, Bristol Marunde, has a wiki page. Okay? Now, George, and you guys probably who followed the show for a long time know, if you don't have a wiki page, I'm going to be like, it's very much this. No wiki page equals you lost, bitch.
No, you know what? Mm-hmm. That dude came over from Zamunda, and he came to Queens, and he's looking for his queen.
I
bet that's who that is.
Coming to America.
Yeah, I bet he's a cousin.
Bristol Marunde.
Him and Lumumba.
What do you have?
Dude, those sound like sleeping drugs.
I'm going to care about if he's coming... He does not.
Jacare's going to win. I don't really. Do we need to say anything else? If Jacare loses this fight, it will probably be one of the biggest upsets that I've ever seen.
I would have to say that because this guy does have a wiki page, but it has nothing about his record on there. Okay.
Probably
now, Paul Daley. Paul Daley is going to be
a known commodity.
Misaki, huh?
He's a known commodity.
He is. He's got heavy hands.
I'm going to tell you right now. If I'm Misaki, I'm going to go like this. Shoot in and take him down.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. Masaki's not going to do that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why he's not going to. Because Misaki has heavy hands too. And he's knocked out his last two opponents. Paul Daley has actually failed to do that, which is crazy because the last two people he's faced, he's won via decision. He hasn't knocked him out. You know damn well they put these two on the car for you and Jimmy. Kevin and Jimmy special because they're just going to be throwing bombs.
Yes.
and they're going to fucking land.
Paul Daley going to come across the ring and try to knock the bloke out. And look, if you don't like my accent, eat a dick.
Cover your mic real quick. Anyway, okay. Anyway,
it's better than saying what Joe Rogan did. He's got to go kamikaze.
Right, Joe Rogan.
I'm seriously. Joe Rogan was off.
Conclusion, huh?
Joe Rogan is either A, trying to get fired, or he just straight up does not give a shit.
Right.
Because Kevin just made a comment about Misaki throwing bombs, where you know what? That could be misconstrued as something. But Joe Rogan last night said on the card about a Japanese fighter in the ring, he's got to go kamikaze to win this fight. No, I'm sorry.
I was like this. George and I just looked at each other. Was like, did that?
I loved it.
Did that just come across the airwaves?
Dave said, "What's wrong with that shit?"
Right.
Look, to me, nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's funny. It's relevant. It makes you do exactly what Kevin and I did. Now, there are some sensitive motherfuckers out there right now going, man, why do you say that?
Oh, man, you know me. I'm funny. Funny is funny. It could be racial or anything else. People are going to get butt hurt and fucking cry about it.
That's funny.
Fucked up shit on our comment
And I'm going to tell you what, throwing bombs, I don't think a lot of people would see that.
Yeah, no, I call it quick.
Right.
That's just my mind works. Anything that's fucking racially motivated humor, I pick up right. And I'm a black man. Lightweight bout.
Well, who do you have winning that fight, Paul Daley or
Paul Daley?
I do too.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking hit him with the you know what.
Now KJ Noons, I'm not sure why you're still in MMA to be honest, because there were rumors before you came back to Strikeforce that you were going to go into boxing.
Yeah. Well, he's fighting Josh Thompson, who's kind of been along the same path as KJ Noons.
Yeah,
I think this is why they put these guys. Huh?
They're kind of in limbo.
They both struggled lately. You know, I mean, it's
tough to go from the top of the mountain to kind of just.
Yeah, I mean, they both have been former Strikeforce lightweight champions. They both have kind of like been struggling lately, and so you know what? One of them has got to fucking win.
Dude, I'll flip a coin.
Yeah, I'm going to just say it's a toss-up. I'm not going to pick a fighter on this one.
You know what it's going to come down to for me? KJ Noons' hair. I know that sounds really strange.
Nope. If his hair is really okay, go ahead.
If his hair is out of his eyes. Yeah. He's going to win the fight.
Right. If he came in there with his hair cut and not with the bouffant, he's going to win. Because to me, that makes me like, it's not about your appearance, it's about fighting.
To me, it's seriously going to go. And now that sounds really strange, but it's seriously, watch. No. If KJ Noons comes in without his hair in his eyes, he'll win the fight.
I know people are going, are these guys really serious?
Yes.
We're fucking serious.
As a heart attack.
Now.